Alrighty, everybody. Good Thursday night. How's everybody doing tonight? Hopefully, really, really good. I got my, I've got my nice little Kansas City Chiefs shirt on. Go support the team. Go support them. They're gonna go repeat. But if they don't, and the Eagles win, then I'll cry and I'll bitch about it later. But tonight, we're gonna talk about not giving in to oneself too quick. Now, here's the thing on this topic is that not giving in too quick. That is actually defined by Webster. Giving in means somebody taking over you, taking over what means the most to you, somebody that's taken over something in your life. Now, what does that mean to you? Does that mean that you give up? Does that mean that there's no hope? No. The thing about it is if you give in, it's not necessarily a feeling of defeat, but it feels like you're defeating yourself. So tonight we're going to actually talk about not being able to give in, and whenever there is the feelings of giving in, being able to have that strength to actually push yourself and go again, go thing. So let me know in your comments. So, all right, before we get comments going on, I've already got some people telling me, hey, Chris, I love you. Skyland Billups is on here. I want to give a shout out to my good friend Jasmine, who I used to work with at the uh, Advocates Center in St. Augustine, Domestic Abuse Center. I love you, girl. I'm glad to be here. So let's keep going with this party. So first things first, I've got my notes for tonight. So one thing we can actually do to that we're not giving ourselves up, giving in too much, is to create a safe space and environment and to validate our feelings. So yeah, what does that feel like, creating a safe environment? Does that mean we go get our guns? Does that mean we go hide in a hole? Does that mean we go take a big little sabbatical? No. It's the thing is whenever we feel like somebody has kind of taken over our feelings, and we feel like, oh, the best thing to do is just throw in the white towel, just throw it up, give it away, that isn't the best clue. But one thing we can do is actually create a safe environment, and that involves being able to get away from toxic stress. Now you're saying, Chris, I can't get away from toxic stress. It's something that it comes, it goes, it's not there. Oh, bullshit. I'm gonna tell you what. One way you can create a safe spot and a safe environment is to actually find out what you feel validates you. That could actually mean going having a beer with your friends. That could actually mean going to a park, or that could mean going to that place in your house or that you can actually turn around and be safe in there. So that means when you're creating that safe environment, you control everything that goes on in that environment. You control everything that goes in there. And if somebody tries to take away that way from you, the first thing you could do, you close the door. Say, hey, leave me alone. It's not worth it. Today is not the day, man. So the other thing is encourage yourself to have self-reflection. So that means when you're having doubt in yourself and you're feeling like, I can't do it no more, reflect on the things that you could do. Work on the little small achievements that you've had. Because everybody's had a small achievement in their self, one way or another. Mine was that I graduated from high school. I became a barber for 13 years. But the thing that was kind of holding me back was the feeling that I could only go so far. And then being a barber, a lot of the business had went to the beauticians. So I felt like, well, I need to go work for the state. And I'll tell you a little bit of story about the place I worked at. I was always kind of headstrong, kind of, you know, I felt like, I had everything done. But whenever I worked for this state job, everybody in there didn't have their own self environment. They didn't have like their own, felt like they didn't even have their own self-worth at the time. So a lot of times they had to take away everything that you had to downgrade you, make you feel like shit, make you feel like thing. And I was the kind of person, I wasn't going to take any of the shit. I wasn't going to take any of that. So the thing that felt like I was kind of something was taken away from me was I was in an environment that I was cutting hair, I was talking with people, and I felt like, this is my environment, this is where I need to be. But the damn thing about it was that every time I was there, a little piece of me kept taken away. It was not safe. It wasn't strength. So how I found a safe environment was I went home every night and I shut everything off. I put this in my imaginary suitcase. But the thing that made it probably the most was I actually pulled out a journal. I found out somebody say journaling. So I pulled out a journal and I started writing. I started writing everything I felt. And then lo and behold, we had a shit show that happened at work. Somebody had initially died on my wing that I was working. Everybody pushed so much to blame everybody else. I was their scapegoat. I was the person that they felt thing because they thought that I wasn't doing my job that night. Everybody turned against me. At this point in my life, I felt depressed. I felt sad. I even had thoughts of trying to drive off an icy road just to get rid of this, just get rid of these feelings. So somebody had taken away something in me. Somebody had taken away that whole feeling of being able to not have my one self. And I felt like I was taking myself and I was giving myself a negative opinion. So I found something that actually encouraged my self reflection. I started going on walks, I started journaling, I started meeting with a counselor, I started doing this. So slowly but surely, I started getting back. But the thing is like the only thing I was taking away, the only thing I wasn't keeping was that toxic environment because I was stressed, I was upset, I got in fights, literally sometimes physical, which I won. But I'm not encouraging violence on here, but that little piece was taken away from me. So I encouraged myself to do self reflection, talk about it. I had to talk about it. If I did not talk about it, something was going to happen. And the thing is I now look back at the people I used to work with. They're now coming back to me and say, "Hey, man, I'm sorry. I was that way." And at first, I told them to go, blow rocks. But now we actually talk each and every day. And the thing is the first thing I say is that you took away that little piece of enjoyment from me that this work was by blaming me for something. Oh yeah, yeah, oh, yeah. But I noticed that they were getting stuff taken away from them because they were in a situation where they had to fight actually for their own job and their own like self-worth. But they actually were able to do that, and I actually found self-reflection. Another thing to help build back that self-strength, that self thing of not having something taken away from you, is to actually elaborate your progress and find relaxing forms of ways to do it. Ways that you can relax your mind, relax your soul, which could actually be, journaling, but also going shooting, going hunting, going fishing, spending time with things. You got to find something to relax you because if you don't, it's all going to end up being something that just builds up later down the road. But another thing that I wanted to bring up, I was going to have a guest host tonight, and this is the thing that was actually going to bring home the being able to keep yourself whenever something gets taken away, not giving up on yourself so much. I was actually, whenever I got married, I joined a church, per se. I will not mention the church's name, but the way this church built so much was they produced kind of almost like a compound like cult like situation. And the way they were actually able to keep members was to break them down, make them feel like they were nothing. And the thing about it is, I'm an advocacy for people. And the thing that kind of really pushed home to me whenever I left this church was when we sat in the thing with a higher up meeting. It wasn't a preacher or anything like that because they didn't think that. My wife was doing everything that she could in this little organization to do everything for this place. And the first thing that he said was, let's separate you two and let's talk. And he talked to my wife first. She came out bawling and crying because for her to actually go see her sister get married, she had to have what's called a church recommended participation to a place, a temple, LDS church. But anyway, but the thing is what really pushed my buttons. They took away my wife's happiness. They took away something inside of her. And the first thing that I was told was, I told him, I was like, I'm not doing my calling in the church. I'm not doing what I need to do. But the thing is, he told me that really pissed me off. And the thing is like if I'd have been 20 years later, he probably would have been missing teeth. I probably would have caught a charge, but I was thinking a little more. The story that he told me was that you need to be able to take your wife and make her do what you want her to do. And I says, this isn't the 1950s, bud. This isn't this. This isn't what it's going to be. And he says, as the patriarch of the household, she can do everything, but she has to come second. So then I started asking questions. I was like, so why is there not a woman leader of the church? Why is there not people of race in the church? And why is it that we're seeing women as second when they should be treated as a strong compacting unit? And the first thing he told me was that women came second. We had to give them our ribs in religion, and women don't have the right capabilities to make decisions. I was like, okay, hold up, straight up. I had a mom that raised a home. I have a sister that helps run a farm, and it's doing well. We had a vice president, and we have a woman in the White House that runs the presidency, even though she's not the president. So why is it that thing? And I told him, I was like, today's the day I leave, but I won't come back until a black, female, gay leader comes into our thing. And he says, that'll never happen. God doesn't love this. And I said, you feel like you're going to take this away from people, but God loves everybody. Allah loves everybody. Mother Nature loves everybody. So kind of getting on to a route, being able to have self-respect and to not give up on oneself means you have to invest in yourself. That means when the whole world is seeming like it does not want to invest in you, it seems like you're kind of not where they're wanting for, make them believe them. A little story that a little person, not a little person, he's a little person, that kind of I find inspiration in is Freudian's dream theories, and I also find Thorndike's and Wundt's behavioralism in psychology. Um, the reason why I picked them is because Wundt believed in behavioralism. We are a creature of our behavior. And the way we behave is a lot of times the way we end up seeing the world. Like the guy who was seeing the world as women second, black second, Indian second, people that are not of the straight sexuality are second, feeling like you have to take away somebody's self-worth, somebody's pride and love isn't building them up, it's building them down. So whenever we have those things, we have those people that are trying to break us down, take away everything in ourselves, it makes us feel like we can't do what we need to do. But the thing is when we find that little pressure, that little strength inside of us, we're actually able to push things a little harder. We're able to find that self-worth and to be investing in ourselves. So one thing that I've been kind of saying, it's kind of almost my catchphrase, is dig deep to find the sweetest treasure. Another thing that I've kind of came onto is It's all about the journey. And it's time that we enjoy this journey in this marathon and try not to make it a sprint. We can't fix everything in one day. And to get into a situation of this is kind of something, a hot topic and thing, it's like the presidency and our president. A lot of people right now are feeling like he's taken stuff away from us. He's taken our rights as people. Here's my opinion on this. I told you I was going to get real on here. Even though the person that's driving the bus may be taking us on a crazy train ride, reference to, Black Sabbath, knowing that we can kind of just take that ride just for a little bit doesn't mean that we have to enjoy the driver. The same thing like with the Chiefs. A lot of people are not a fans of the Chiefs right now because they keep winning and stuff like that. Even though we don't like the era that's going on, doesn't necessarily mean that we have to talk to the driver. Doesn't necessarily mean we have to do it. And when I say this, I mean this so we don't make this become a part of our mental health that goes down. Just because the people that are running our country and the people that are on top right now, just because they're at that point, just because somebody else is driving the bus right now, doesn't necessarily mean we have to talk to the driver. So as we kind of go on this little journey, we can, and always remember, every little place has a stop. If something gets to where we feel like our personality is being taken away with us, we can always stop. We can always go off on a stop. Now I know, like right now, we can't just tell him to go, go not be the president. We can't tell the Chiefs to just really suck. But the thing is, it's like even though we don't like them, there's always tomorrow. There's always going to be another tomorrow. If we can make it through this, we can make it through anything. And right now, this also is kind of hitting hard is the people that are over in California that have the fires going on right now. A lot of their self-worth is being taken away. A lot of what made them things being taken away. So the thing is, even though society, the environment, the things around us feel like they're overtaking us, I have a little piece of advice. We can get off the bus at any time. Just because the sandwich tastes horrible doesn't mean that we can't try and eat a better sandwich. Even though the world seems like it's not making sense right now, we've been through this before. We've taken these wild rides. We can make it. We can do this. So my little piece of advice from her is when we feel like somebody has taken something away with us and we feel like giving up, taking everything away, we feel like not trying any more harder, always believe in this. If you bet on yourself, the only person that's going to lose is the person that didn't bet on you. And a person that I kind of think about, I don't know, a lot of people have listened to them, is the Insane Clown Posse. These guys, I'm using their name, they produce so many artists out there that, they're not mainstream, but the thing is, they're themselves. They're betting on themselves, like Twisted and Ouija Mac. I like these people because, yeah, I'm a 90s kid and, you know, I like them because they could be themselves. And that's one thing you need to realize is that the more you're yourself, the more people are going to want to invest in you. The goofier you are, the crazier you are, the Chiefs fan that you is, always remember if you can always bet on yourself, nobody's going to take that away from you. What you've accomplished in your life, no one will ever take away from you. No one. So I leave you with this. I want you this week, this is homework. I want you to think back of whenever somebody took something away from you, whether it's a relationship, a job interview, a promotion, or somebody took away, your self-reliance and your feeling of accomplishment. Remember this. It's like this week, I want you to think back about this, but I want you to think about what you gained now as an adult, as a child, as somebody. And realize this is what you gain now, they didn't take away from you. They didn't take away your kids. They didn't take away your promotion. And I've known several people that have felt this way, but now they're the leaders of the world. They became police officers, caseworkers. I know somebody that I looked up to a lot growing up, Miss Audrey, my Larry Wild's mom. I looked up to her the most because she kind of inspired me of somebody that she fought like hell and didn't stop fighting. And that's what I want you guys to realize is the more you fight, the more you bet on yourself, the more you think about your self-worth. Nobody's going to take away from you. So you shouldn't take away what's valuable to you. Love yourself and never stop fighting. Thank you. God bless. Have a great week. I'm going to try to do another live thing this weekend. I'll let y'all know. I'll keep you informed. And also, get onto my YouTube page. I'm doing little shorts on there. They're funny. They're like me. They keep you strong. They keep you going. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate it. If you have any questions, let me know. And feel free to comment, whether you like it or you don't like it. Have a good time. Go Chiefs.